Hi guys, I'm Daniel from Yuneec. Today just going to put a short video together for some of you guys just to show the basic features of the Typhoon H and getting it ready for your first flight. So, depending on what package you guys went for, you're either going to get it in a cardboard box, which looks something like this, or you're going to get it in a backpack, which looks something like this. Now, the contents of the box is going to be pretty much the same. Depending on what package you went for, you're either going to get a couple of extra batteries, or you're going to get your Intel RealSense module with your IPS system. So, you know, the contents is pretty much the same. Now, the first thing I recommend you do before you do anything else is charge your batteries. So, for the LiPo for the Typhoon H, you use the base station. All right, so connect it all up, okay, charge it, and you've got your green LED codes on the front, and it tells you what everything does on the base station. And you use your micro USB port on the bottom of the transmitter on the SD16. So make sure that all your batteries are nice and charged before you do anything else. So once your LiPo battery is charged, you remove it from your docking station, like so, and you place it into the back of the Typhoon H. Okay, you want to hear that solid click, must click in, must be flush with the machine. Now, if I turn on the H, you're going to see a light come on. Okay, the first light that comes on is a green light. The green light tells me that the machine is fully charged, the battery is fully charged. Okay, if I get an orange light, the battery's round about half charged, and a red light is the battery's flat. So that first light is really, really important. Now, the second light you're seeing is a blue flashing light. The blue flashing light from the Typhoon H is looking for something to connect with. As you can see, my SD16 is not turned on, so there's not going to be a connection between the transmitter and the Typhoon H. So that blue flashing light tells you that. So if you just get a blue flashing light, you haven't got a connection between your SD16 and the Typhoon H. So to avoid that blue flashing light and to make sure we get a connection with our SD16, turn your SD16 on first. Always make sure your transmitter initializes and everything's ready to go on your SD16 before you turn on your Typhoon H. So the first thing you do when you go out to fly, turn on your SD16 and then you can sort your Typhoon H out. So the next thing you want to do is you want to remove the lens cover. So the lens cover needs to come off so that your gimbal is ready to initialize. I'm going to put that down here. Okay. Now, because we're inside, I'm not going to put all the props on. I'm just going to put one on just to show you guys how they go. Now, they're obviously marked white and black. White goes on white, black goes on black. Very, very simple. Okay. And all I'm going to do is place the prop on top. I hold the motor, I twist it until it sits in. Okay. Once it's done that, I push down, hold the motor, turn until I hear that click. And the center button will pop up, letting you know you've got a firm connection. Now, my SD16 has initialized, it's ready to go. So then, I'm going to turn on my Typhoon H. And what you'll see is there'll be a connection between the two. That bleep lets you know the 2.4 is connected, and my LED has gone from being a flashing blue to an intermittent flashing purple. That is telling me that there is a connection between the SD16 and the Typhoon H, and it's now searching for a GPS fix. So the 2.4, which is the control uplink, how I control the drone, is now connected. There are two connections that go to the Typhoon H. One of them is a 2.4 connection, which gives me the control of the machine, and the video downlink that comes down, which gives me the picture, okay, is a 5.8 connection. So you need to connect to two connections. Now, the first one happens very, very quickly. Depending on whether you're running the USA firmware or you're running the EU firmware, the connection time between the 5.8 will vary slightly. So the 5.8, if you're in the EU, can take up to 90 seconds. The reason for that is because we have what's called DFS, which is digital frequency selection. So that can sometimes take a little bit longer to connect. But once you've got the 2.4 connection and you have the 5.8 connection, you're nearly ready to go. So like I say, if you are having a little play with the Typhoon H inside, please make sure you don't have any props on, okay? It's very, very important. Just going through these switches really, really quickly, because we're going to do it outside and we're going to show you them properly. The control on the left-hand side is for my gimbal. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, at the moment it's in FPV mode, so the camera will face the way that the aircraft is pointing. I can also put it into what's called global mode, which is the switch on the pan mode. And then what will happen is the camera will only face where I want it to. So once it's in pan mode, I can also use the dial to rotate the gimbal and operate the gimbal independently. Over on the right hand side, this is my mode switch. This is really important. We're going to go through this outside. This is my angle, return to home, and smart mode. We'll go at that outside. This is my optical avoidance, so how I turn on my sonar or my real sense if I have the real sense installed. The auxiliary switch is redundant at the moment. We're looking to do some stuff with that, but at the moment on the current software that doesn't work. This is our retract switch. This is my start-stop button. This is my start and stop video. This is my photographer take stills video, and this is my cruise control. And this is how I toggle through my camera selection. So I can toggle through different modes on my camera. Again, we'll go over these properly outside. So on the upper right hand part of the screen, the first thing we see our battery percentage of the SD16. Next to that, we have the 5.8 signal strength. Next to that, we have the 2.4 signal strength. Next to that, we have the amount of satellites that the SD16 is seeing. Currently we're inside, so we're seeing none. And next to that, we have the time. So on the left-hand side of the screen, the first thing you're going to see is the battery voltage of the Typhoon H. You want it above 16 volts for it to be fully charged. Underneath that, you'll see the GPS status. So at the moment, it says ready. Under that, you'll have the amount of satellites that the Typhoon H is seeing. Underneath that, you'll see the global position, so the latitude and longitude of the Typhoon H. Below that, you'll see the machine's altitude, so the Typhoon H's altitude. Underneath that, you'll see ground speed, and under that, you'll see the distance from the transmitter, so the amount of distance between the transmitter and the Typhoon H. So the way that I fly is before I take off, I make sure all my switches are back. So all my switches are in the back position, okay? Apart from my mode switch, which is set to A, which is angle, which is in the middle. So all the switches back, apart from my mode switch being set to A, which is in the middle position. I also think it's a very good idea that the rates, which is right on this switch right here that we will talk through later on, is all the way up, so you have maximum movement of the Typhoon H when you take off. So all my switches are in the correct position. My SD16 is completely initialized, so now I want to turn the machine on. So you see the flashing blue light, and now we've gone to purple. So the purple flashing light now is that I have connection to my SD16 and I'm waiting for GPS. You can see the orientation LEDs underneath each arm, the red being the back of the Typhoon H, the white being the front, the green being the right, and the blue being the left. Now the first time that you do a software update, it might take a little while to establish GPS, because obviously you wipe the GPS, so it needs to establish where it is. So that's how long my machine took to gain GPS. So I have now got a solid purple light which tells me the Typhoon H has got GPS, and on my transmitter it tells me I have 15 satellites and the GPS is ready. The white flashing light at the back of the machine that's happening kind of every 3 seconds is the refresh to the home point. Okay, so this is really important. We have an active home point, so when we take off, when the SD16 moves, the home point moves. So when I initiate return to home, the Typhoon H is going to come back to within 8 meters of the transmitter. Okay, so if you don't have that white flashing light, you're still safe to fly, but it's not going to refresh its home point until you've got that white light and 10 satellites on the Typhoon H. So when you're ready to fly, you also get an audio warning from the Typhoon H. So not only do you get the solid purple light with the white flash, you also get the kind of sound that lets you know that you're ready to go. What I need to make sure I do now is I need to be a safe distance from the Typhoon H to take off. If you're using auto takeoff, the machine won't let you take off unless you're more than 5 meters. All right, so I recommend that you're at least 5 meters away from the Typhoon H before you take off. Obviously, if you have a small garden, yeah, I wouldn't recommend go outside and try and hover in your garden. For the first time you fly, please go to a wide open space, you know, somewhere where you've got a little bit of room for error, okay, and try the Typhoon H in a big wide space to start off with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my start button for 3 seconds, and then the machine's going to start ticking over. It's not going to take off until I tell it to, it's just going to tick over. Only when I start increasing the throttle, so I'm going to increase the throttle slightly, you're going to notice that the H wants to lift off. Okay? I'm now not touching the transmitter at all. Alright? Through GPS, it is going to stay in its position. I'm not touching the switches or the buttons at all. Okay? It will lift off to however high I tell it to through the throttle, and it's going to stay there. Okay, through GPS, I don't need to do anything. It's going to sit there, nice and happy. Even today, when it's blowing 8, 9, 10 miles an hour wind, she's going to sit there. It's really, really impressive. So when I'm happy, okay, you guys for your first flight might want to get a little bit higher than this. When I'm happy, I'm going to hit my retract switch. And as you see, my undercarriage is going to tuck right out of the way under the arms. Looks absolutely awesome. And that's going to give me the 360 rotation on my gimbal. So when you are nice and happy on the sticks, then you are ready to go. Let's have some fun. So I recommend that the first time you land your Typhoon H, try and fly it backwards, all right? Because everything's the right way around, especially when you have to land in angle mode. So you want to be looking at the purple LED. So the first thing I'll do is I'll hit my retract to put my landing gear down. I'm now going to fly it so that the machine is facing towards me, because then everything's easy, everything's the right way around. Now this is the key thing about landing the Typhoon H. You must keep the throttle to the bottom until you hear the change of pitch of the motors. Okay, so I'm going to bring the machine down. Right there. Hear the change of pitch of the motors, then I can release the throttle and then I can shut down. It's really important you understand, if the Typhoon H comes down on an unlevel surface, the motor pitch won't change and you run the risk of the H lifting off again. So please make sure you land on a completely flat surface. Like I say, otherwise the H might want to lift off. Once it's down, hold the button for 3 seconds and the props will shut down. So what I've showed you today is enough that should get you started, get you out on the field, get you flying with your H and getting you enjoying it. Very, very basic stuff. There are so many more functions of this machine. In terms of the camera, you know, we have tons of settings: panoramic mode, time-lapse, burst mode. We can shoot in JPEG, DNG. We got autonomous flight modes, curved cable cam, journey mode, orbit me. I mean, there are so many features of this machine. We can't do it all in one video, which is why we're going to break it up into segments. If there's something you really want to know, please post in the comment section below, and we'll do our best to make sure that that happens and we keep you guys informed on the Typhoon H. Now, it's really important, guys, that you understand there are no better drones out there on the market for this price. Okay, under £1,000 you can get 4K fully stabilized video on a machine that is incredibly easy to fly and is a hell of a lot of fun. So guys, stay tuned. Thanks for watching.